Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, artist to artist, conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. Join me in welcoming a dear friend of mine, amazing bass player, arranger, composer, and educator, someone that I've had the pleasure of playing with for many years and touring the world. And he took some time out of his busy schedule to come and hang out with me tonight so we could have a conversation. So join me in welcoming the great Michael Bowie.
Hey everybody, what's going on, Dion?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm better than I'm with you right now. That's for sure.
Welcome back, man. I know you've been running around the world doing your thing, but welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for asking. And when I saw you with John Faddis recently in D.C.,
yeah,
it was beauty all over again, man. To hear you play again, and with John, who I used to play with as well, and the cast, it was such a beautiful night. So good to be here with you, brother.
Yeah, man. And you know, ironically, we just finished up the past 5 nights at Smoke with John and the quartet, celebrating John's 72nd birthday. And we had a great time, man. It was a really, really great hit. And yeah, man, he's still going strong, doing his thing, sounding great as usual. And yeah, man, but it was good seeing you back in May, and I kind of put this bug in your ear, and we've been going back and forth. And so here you are, Michael Bowie in the house.
Here we are.
Here we are. There you go. Oh, so thanks for joining me, man. Man, where can we start from, man? We go way back, and man, I've known you from when you was with Betty Carter, and then we did a number of things with Stephen Scott and all that stuff, man, and John and a couple other folks. Let our audience know, because our audience is all around the world. We have folks tuning in from Asia and England and other countries around the world, man, and they're very supportive and they're very curious about the guests that we have in the show. And so just give them a little idea of who Michael Bowie is. How did you get started in music?
Wow. My earliest memories, man, of falling in love with this thing called music, with the vibrations, is waking up very early in the morning, listening to my parents play classical duets.
Oh, wow.
Yes. My father's a reed man, as they used to call him. And my mother's a pianist. And so I literally just sit in my bed, very early and just listen, just absorbing the vibe. And it was very, very beautiful, man, to wake up in that sort of environment, and then, of course, I got the bug. I got the bug, and it's just, that bug has just been so beautiful for my life, and being able to meet people like yourself and all the great people that I've had a pleasure of just being around. It's not it's not about the blessings that we've been bestowed are really not about, it's through us. It's not, it's not me. I mean, I put a lot of work into it, what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's just the opportunities to be around great people, great thinkers, and humanitarians, and very quirky folks, and, just the whole gambit of people you meet with, in the business and on the road, and just in life. So that I would attribute that to be my greatest blessing, But yeah, getting started, man, it was both my parents. It's their fault.
It's their fault. So how the bass? How did that come out? You had a reed man in the house. You had mom playing the piano, and you choose the bass.
All right. Well, the bass chose me.
Okay.
The bass chose me. My first little recitals in my robe, my little Lord Fauntleroy robe, some family and friends would come over, and I used to have these little piano recitals.
Mm-hmm.
I was about maybe 6 or 7. And I only remember 2 of them. And then my dad grabbed me up, and he um, he put a clarinet in my hand. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, he put a clarinet in my hand, and I'm going to tell you, and all my friends and family knows that was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life.
The clarinet.
Yes, I don't know how those guys can put that reed in their mouth, and it's just
Mhm,
that's not for me, man.
mhm.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit.
Right.
It wasn't a good fit. I used to go to school. I was in the band. I'm still elementary school, and I was one of the clarinet players. And um, came time for band practice. And the band director would come to your room and gather up the band members and take them to the rehearsal. Yeah. And man, I'm still small, but I was so small I could fit into one of those closets.
Mhm.
I'm hiding out when he's coming around picking up the
You're like, I'm not having this.
oh, and the technique of putting the case on your stomach and working on your diaphragm and breathing and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Man, it just wasn't me. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it, man. So that slid away. But then my father had a program um, that people like Chuck Royal,
Mhm.
Chris Royal, a number of other people came through called the Northwest Settlement House, and
Okay.
it was right after, well, kind of during Marion Barry's time, if anybody knows the
Yeah.
infamous Marion Barry, and when there were programs and things for people to do, around the city, right before they started taking everything away. My father ran that program, and I used to go to the rehearsals and see slightly older guys playing, and I heard the bass, and it's a brother named Agnew. He's not with us anymore,
Mhm.
but I have to say his name, because he was the one that really kind of just watching him and listening to what he was doing. It was electric bass.
Mhm.
And listening to what he was doing, just kind of that sound, the vibration, his role in the band,
Mhm.
all these things. There certainly is a sound and what was being played, but I came to learn things deeper about the role and how the bass is center
Mhm.
to the band, which again fit my personality, and all these things worked. Right, I didn't have to put a reed in my mouth. Give
Mhm.
me that.
Yeah.
Give me anything. I didn't have to put that reed in my mouth. Oh my goodness. Sorry, reed man. And some of my best friends play reeds, but no,
Yeah.
that's not for me. Yeah. So that was really my start. I came home from camp one day and picked up the electric bass, and when I was tall enough, and I wanted to venture over to the acoustic bass, and that really became my love. You
Mhm.
know, that really became my love. That acoustic bass. Now, I would say probably a little bit more so than electric.
Mhm.
It's just something that fit me, how to play it and how it felt, in my hands and
Mhm.
everything, man. It was it. That was it for me.
It's great to hear your story, but what I'm really enjoying is you kind of talking about your philosophy of what attracts you to the bass and what you kind of developed to you talked about the sound, how it vibrated for you and the role in the band. It's like, it's interesting because a lot of times, young musicians will say, I like the bass because it's cool, but your attraction to it was more philosophical. It's like it touched you a certain way,
Yeah.
similar to me with the drums, man. I knew from as far back as I could go that this is what I wanted to do. When I saw a drummer play and the things they were doing and their role in the band, it was like that's the purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, that is always what has to touch you inside.
Right.
If you are a lawyer, or just a business person, or an artist of some sort, it's that thing that hits you at its core. And like, what is that I'm interested in, right? And how does this fit um, within my life, within my, my opera? Is it centric to is that or to who I am, you
Right.
know? Um, and as we talk more and more, this will come to fore, right? I mean, it's like the what I've been doing and in education, my nonprofit, it really is, and choosing an instrument that works for me in the way that it does, is all, there's a congruency there, it
Yeah.
all has come together in my life.
That's beautiful, man. And I want to get to what you've been doing with your nonprofit and your education. But before we get to that,
Hmm.
I want to talk about your education upbringing. So, where did you go to school, and who did you study with? Yeah, just share that with for our audience, real quick.
Well, I went to the school of Betty Carter. I left school, left college to audition.
Hmm.
and I look around now and I'm almost 64 years old, and
Hmm.
I was 22, 23 when I went up to audition for Betty.
Hmm.
And so my life is like, here I am today.
Yes.
From that moment on, um, uh, musicians, the community in New York and all over kind of embraced me,
Hmm.
and let me know, there's a place for you here, you know.
Yeah.
Um, timing, my just being humble, um, showing up, being present
Hmm.
for the lessons that people like James Moody and all the rest, were there to give me, you know, and and because you can't fake that, you know, as you could definitely talk all day about this. People, you're a musician, but you're a person first,
Hmm.
you know, so. My education came through, first thing, both my parents are musicians. Um, and so we used to play at the Warner Theater, backing up all the 50s groups.
Hmm.
And I wasn't 15 yet, the Drifters, Coasters, Sherelle, all of that. I used to do the Ebony Fashion Fair, show 16 years old, traveling with that. Um, I did in terms of schooling. Um, I came through UDC, which had the great Calvin Jones, who worked with
Hmm.
Ray Charles. Calvin was a trombonist and a bassist and played piano too at the University of District of Columbia locally. Um, and I spent a little time before that at Bowie State, um, and a little time at UDC. Um, and Calvin Jones was a great education because I went to school. He had charts, and he was in the business,
Right.
right? Like, I'm not learning from someone with just a degree
Right.
and no experience, right? Um, and the same for my mentor, Mr. Keter.
Hmm.
Keter Betts played with Dinah Washington. He played with Earl Bostic. Spent the last 20, almost 30 years of Ella's life working with Ella Fitzgerald,
Hmm.
Tommy Flanagan, and all the greats, right? So those people and many others like that around the city, the great Reuben Brown, who's not with us anymore. Um, Buck Hill.
Hmm.
Buck, I mean, education. You talking about education? like Allen Iverson. You talking about practice. You
Yeah.
talking about education, man. I mean, like, music is my love, and I was around all those people who were willing to share and bring me on the bandstand. And
Yeah.
Charles Davis used to come down here, and I used to work with him, and uh, Dennis Chambers, and
Mm. It's
every
it's funny you mentioned Betty Carter because at the time, and I'm gonna date us, in early '90s, when we came on the scene, there were still bands. There were still bands, and these bands were actually, you know, um, you know, they were like classrooms, like not a classroom, but they were a learning platform. Betty Carter was known for creating the best rhythm section players. You know, everybody wanted to play with Betty. I had a chance. You played with Betty. I think you either replaced Taurus or Taurus replaced you. I don't know who came first.
Okay, I'm a further. You see all these gray hairs? I earned.
You were ahead of Taurus. Yeah.
I earned it. No, check this out. So everybody in the world heard Dion say, well, "Yeah, in the '90s, right?"
Yeah.
I was in the '80s.
You was with Betty in the 80s.
85. And in 19, we
Oh, Daryl. You were with Daryl.
no. I was with Benny Green and Winard Harper.
Right, Green and Harper. Yeah.
And we came after Curtis Lundy. And then actually Curtis was with Lewis Nash. And then there was another bass player after Curtis, and then I came. David, I forget David's name.
David Eubanks?
No.
No.
There's another David that came from out of Texas.
Okay.
And God bless him, Betty would ride you so hard.
Oh, yeah.
That he actually, the rumor was, if I remember correctly, he actually stopped playing and went back and got into IT down in Texas. So
No kidding.
if this is really not who you are, and like you cannot do anything else,
yeah,
you know, those great folks back then would you know, life and playing the music would really determine that, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm in 1985 again, and I'll be 64 in October.
That's right.
Yeah,
I saw that band. I came to the U.S. in '85, so I started hanging in the city then. I saw that band, so I remember going to check you guys out. I can't remember where, but I followed that because that was a talk of the time. You got to get in Betty's band. It's like I know Nash was in there, a bunch of cats was up in there, and when Hutch left, I was there for a hot minute. I didn't last long because I had other stuff going on, but I remember Dwayne Burnell coming from, he left school also. He left Berkeley, came down to Augie's. Betty was playing at Birdline, which was on 105th Street, and we were all hanging out at Augie's, and I was his audition.
Yeah.
And that was after Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that band ended up being Hutch on drums, Burnell, and
was Mark still in the band?
Mark Harry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know y'all used to hang out at Mark's place.
Yeah.
We lived,
Ron and I lived on the second floor. Mark and Taurus lived on the fourth floor. So that was a connection.
There was a lot of music coming out of that.
A lot of music, man. That's what I'm saying. As you mentioned, man, that's what we did. It's like, and then on top of that, then you had Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. The Messengers were still around, and you had all the horn players doing that. And, you know, it was a great time. And there were bands, you know, and then out of Betty Carter, because of the relationship with Winard, I know the Harper Brothers came to light, and there was a number of other groups that came out of that, and you and I connected with Stephen Scott.
Yes,
and we were part of that trio, and we backed up a lot of other folks, and it was just a great time. And again, that was like the school stuff, because we still had mentors that were pushing that apprenticeship, like get on the bandstand. It wasn't the way it is now, like in the classroom. You know, it was a different time. And man, we were going on the road for weeks, sometimes months, man. That don't exist. I mean, I talk to some of these young cats now, and I have to smile and say, yeah, I just did a West Coast tour. I said, oh yeah, how long were you out for? Oh, 4 days.
right. It's the Caterpillar tour. Just you know. But, that started to change in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my work with the Manhattan Transfer, we used to call it the Caterpillar tour. You know, because you just wasn't a long stretch anymore.
Right.
All of that really started to change in the early 2000s.
Yeah. And so, tell us some of the great groups that you've been part of.
Ooh. And I say, truthfully, what I'm going to do one day, and I've been saying this, it's like, you know, finally cleaning out my closet, you know. I'm going to do that. We'll get to it. But I'm going to write down, and I started somewhere, now it's gone, but I want to write down like all the folks that I've been blessed to be around, right, and to work with. But somebody had to remind me that I recorded with Joe Henderson. There is a wonderful YouTube out with Joe and myself and Marvin Smitty Smith, Kent Jordan, and the great Becky Msoleko on piano,
Nice.
South African brother.
Yeah.
And uh, uh, I've man, I've worked with George Coleman. I've worked with uh, John Faddis. I
Mhm.
worked with Betty Carter, Sarah Vaughn, Joe Williams, Doc Cheatham, Marlena Shaw, um, Della Reece. I worked with Frank Gorshin, who was the Riddler on Batman.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
I've done a Debbie Reynolds. Um, I MD'd Isaac Hayes' last show in Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
With a radio station here. I MD'd Patti LaBelle. I uh, like I can't remember the like
Yeah, I know it's just a lot.
bless. And these are not, I'm not just making up names. These are documented, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Abbey Lincoln, I didn't even mention Abby,
yeah,
who's my
yeah, happy,
absolute
yeah.
love. Um, many people. I worked in for a brief stint. I worked with Roy Hargrove
Mhm.
and his big band. Um, yeah, man, I came up in a beautiful time, beautiful people, and
Yeah.
I was blessed to be around many people that I mean I can remember them, but I bore everybody just sitting here over the next number of minutes.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted our audience to kind of
Mhm.
understand, your versatility as a musician, and because there's musicians that play in a band, like you have the rock bands, and this is the band, these are the band members, and then on the jazz scene is a little bit different. We kind of pride ourselves on being versatile and being in the presence of a number of other musicians, and building those relationships is important. It's good to be part of a band and build that lineage as well, but it's also good to have those particular relationships where you can kind of expand yourself, and build your roster as well. This is really important to do that.
It is everything actually because if you put all your faith and hopes and dreams into one area of life, and this is what my parents taught me. This is the real
Mhm.
blessing of being around them and being raised by musicians because they told me what this deal is, right? Um, if you want to eat, if you want to own a home, if you want to, do all these things, um, you have to, my father used to say, build your Rolodex, be in other people's Rolodex, and
Mhm.
have one of your own, right? People that you can call upon, they can call upon you. Case in point, um, Michael Bearden, who was Michael Jackson's last musical director on This Is It on that movie. Michael Bearden has done Madonna and a whole bunch of people. So we grew up together and well, he was from Chicago, but he went to Howard, and we were in a band together here called the LSQ, and so Michael went off and went to Hollywood and worked with everybody. He's got an Emmy. He's up for another Emmy this year.
Mhm.
Michael came because he had done a number of the Kennedy Center honors here in Washington D.C. I get a phone call about maybe 11:30 in the morning, and I'm on another gig already. He says, "Hey man, this is Bearden." Calls himself. He says, "I need you down here. Can you be here like in an hour and a half?" His bass player had COVID. They were testing people. This was
Right.
last year, and this is when they inducted Adam Sandler. Right,
Right.
man. I left that gig and jetted down there. Right, and I played, and Michael knew that he hadn't heard me in 20 something years live. Right,
Right.
maybe no, more like 30. Right, but he knew, how what my philosophy of being prepared, like you
Right.
talked about, you know. And after the first song, they stopped, and the whole band, who I didn't know, like jumped on my back and jumped on my head. Like they were so ecstatic that it was
Right.
being played that well. And
Right.
it's preparation. It's not, and it's not a me thing. I can do stuff. No, it's the preparation
Mhm.
that all musicians must have
Right.
to be called on any job at any moment.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
and but us, you have to achieve that, again, through all of the folks you've worked with and the prep you've had to get to that level, you know. So that's great, man. That's great.
And it's the mindset.
It's
Like,
a mindset. Yeah, it's
yeah.
part of your philosophy.
Why are we here? That's what you said at the very beginning. You know, you picked up on that. Like,
Yeah.
why? What's our
Why
purpose?
we? But we remember we used to talk about this all the time, and when we would run around the world, because as soon as we landed, it's like, oh, what you doing? I got this gig, and so while you're on the road doing that gig, you're studying the music for the next gig.
Yeah.
You know, we all, you know, that's part of the gig, man. It's really great. So that being said, I know you have your education program at Blues Alley in partnership with Blues Alley, and you're mentoring the young folks and stuff like that. And that's something we have in common, man. That's why I'm always so happy when I come to Blues Alley and hear the great things you're doing. Tell us about that.
Okay. Just paying it forward, number one. You know, I have been working with the kids at Blues Alley, or with that program, the nonprofit side of Blues Alley in Washington D.C. for 15 years now, almost 16. And before that, I used to work at a place called Fillmore, and I kind of developed a little jazz band of 5th and 6th graders. So you know, I have been involved in education forever, right? At a point, still kind of going out on the road, but at Fillmore, I could do that, and you know, still come back and teach. You know, so I had a very good situation there. But I currently am the musical director for the Blues Alley Youth Orchestra. Matter of fact, we're in our 3rd day of a 2-week camp. And if anybody from Blues Alley, from the youth, from the campers or students are listening, I told you I'd give you a shout out. Silas, I'm gonna give you the one big shout out, and Ben might be listening too. All right, so my duty's done, man. That has been so rewarding. We, throughout the year, we have a big band, and I challenge these kids with professional charts. So the average age, I would say, is probably between 10th and 11th grade.
Okay.
And they don't see that type of music, in their schools, generally speaking. Now if you go to Jersey, there's something in the water of Jersey, with Mark Gross and what what they're teaching those kids up there.
Jasper teams up at NJ Park, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was up there for 8 years with them. Yeah.
Yep. So, well, something in the water up there.
Yeah, between that program and then Christian McBride's program.
That's right. That was my mention.
Kids. Yeah.
Man, something in the water. Yeah, I got it. Woo! It's amazing up there. So, just trying to give them a little taste of what's happening. Here.
Yeah, and that's great, man. Because I know when we came through there in May, Faddis did a presentation with you guys.
Well, it was open to us, and I didn't make the presentation, but it was open probably to even more folks. And that's what Harry Snipper, the owner of Blues Alley, he's really about education.
Right.
He used to do more of that.
Okay.
He used to do more of that, but sometimes it's really hard to kind of keep relationships going. I don't know why. DC is a nonprofit town, and people, we've got the Herbie Hancock Institute here. We have the Smithsonian, and I've worked with them all in certain, different capacities. But getting people to work together, and I guess maybe it's pools of money, and I did say that out loud. Everybody's trying to do this, trying to protect theirs. But we get it in when we can, and the youth orchestra is going strong. And after COVID, our numbers built back up. We teach jazz language not all summer, for these 2 weeks. And then they bring those concepts in, they read, and then they're listening and copying the masters, and and we move from there. So I love doing that.
Yeah, and it's important, man. And I hear about the great work you're doing in New York, and even in the Virgin Islands where I'm at. I'm doing a similar thing down here too. So I'm always have my ear out for cats is doing, stuff like that. I know Vincent Garner's in Houston, and he's doing his stuff over there as well, and a couple other folks doing some stuff. I'm trying to remember his name now. He started a program in Vegas.
Okay.
Why is his name slipping me? My trumpet player.
So why you think it was
Kenny Rampton? Yeah, Rampton.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
doing this program in Vegas. So a number of us around this age are trying to pay it forward from that platform.
If I may speak on it real quick, Paul Carr is Paul Carr runs the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival.
That's right.
And his, he's been doing his youth education for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was one of the first to start.
Yeah, man. And look, the beautiful thing about school now is that guys like yourself, Nicholas Payton and the others are going out and getting the requisite degrees so they can be a voice in college.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the education that you can get from you, Nicholas, and many other cats, at the college level is so valuable. Like we cannot, we can't put a figure on that, man. It is, because it's not just X's and O's,
Yeah. It's something to be said about cats that's on the scene doing it and in the classroom as well. It's something to be said about that, because when I teach, I'm teaching from experience. When a student asks me a question, I say, wow, and I can give an answer from experience. It's not just from, the theory of this is
right.
Yeah.
If you do this on a 2-5, you'll be just fine.
Exactly.
Barry Harris and many others. Now, I had discussions recently, and I'm not completely down on that, but 2 and the 5 is the one. And if you listen to 2 and the 5 is all one, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know is about the numbers and where you start, and we could get into that. We have to say that for another conversation, man. Brother, I want to get into some of your music, man. I want to get into some of the real boys and let the folks hear, what you've been doing for a minute, because we could stay and talk all day. You know how we do it. But I want him to hear you play and hear some of the stuff you've been doing. So you shared some music with us on the first song. You shared is the Real Boys. Let's play it, and then you tell us about it, because I know there's a history behind with all the cats. So let's check out the Real Boys. The real boys.
What can I say? I was 24 years old.
So the group is called the Harper Brothers. That was a Harper. So explain to our audience who the Harper Brothers, who they are, and who are the members of the group.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it safe in my explanation. Members of the group were the Harpers themselves, Winard on drums, Philip on trumpet, and then there was the both incredibly, there are some of the stalwart guys that will go down in the history of this music. Both the Harper brothers, Winard and Philip. Then there's also the great Justin Robinson. Justin could not have been 17, 18 on this recording. Very, very young. And he's an alto saxophone player, went on to play with many, many bands and many artists, including a very long stint with Roy Hargrove. And many recordings with Roy as well. And then there's Stephen Scott, who went on to get his own contract with Verve Records. And you and I toured with him. I remember particularly going to Spain with you. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Stephen Scott made many great records. I had the pleasure of being on the Renaissance album with him and Clarence Penn and Kareem Riggins. Just beautiful times, bliss. And that was the band. And that came out of Betty Carter's group. And when Betty, matter of fact, if I hadn't said, we recorded "Look What I Got," which won a Grammy, and that record. And from that group, the Harper Brothers was discovered. Richard Seidel was the producer at that time,
right?
And maybe head of Jazz Vision in Polygram, New York. And so that group, we went up on the infamous water tower and took pictures and act crazy, and I hung with the group for just a bit, but I was like you with Betty, I was involved in too many other things, musically, so I just couldn't hang. But they're my brothers for life. And matter of fact, Winard told me about the audition with Betty, and that's what got me up to New York.
Yeah. Great, man. Well, great song, great, beautiful song, beautiful arrangement. And comment, I love listening to the rhythm section, but because you are a bass player and I'm listening carefully, and you are definitely driving the groove beautifully. And they're asking what kind of bass you're playing.
We used to think it's a Norner Hornsteiner from around 1930. It's coming up on 100 years old, my bass. It's never going to be the instrument you play. It's your intent as a bass player or as a musician. It's your intent and your developing a sound, right? And having a sound, which is really about your identity. I traveled with Grady Tate with Abbey Lincoln for a period of time. And Grady Tate said, look, one thing Billy Cobham could do is just sit on a set of trash cans and make those things sound amazing, right? So it's really not what you play, it's how you play it and what your intent is, right? Going into something. Great question.
Yeah. Somebody said, I've seen you play at Blues Alley before and you're the bomb. Great, beautiful.
I appreciate you. Keep coming to see the old man.
Exactly. Well, let's continue. You shared another song with us that I really enjoyed. This one as well. All of them I enjoy, but I got my favorites. But let's just check out the next song entitled "Beautiful Land." Beautiful land. Yeah, bro.
Wow, I get it gives me chills, man. To think back in those times.
Uh-huh.
That particular band was my real attempt at writing and just exploring sound.
Hmm.
It didn't have a piano,
Right.
and the challenge was, and you can hear. I think we're going to maybe get into something else from the group, but the challenge was to kind of make this make the harmonies work through bass, steel pan, um, which Victor Provost plays that thing like a harp. He can make a whole chord with two sticks,
Right.
and saxophone, and just kind of weave the harmonies and make that sound work. And that was my challenge. And look, the level of musicianship in that band. I mean, because we played fairly often, for about 5 years. That some of the heights in that band were some that I've just never experienced. Especially given the instrumentation and the whole thing.
Right. Who were the members of the band?
Mark Prince on drums,
Mm-hmm.
Sam Turner on percussion, Lyle Link on saxophone, and Victor Provost on steel pan,
Mm-hmm.
and myself. And man, I love writing for that band, and the way those cats played stuff, it's magic.
Lyle Link, you said on sax?
Lyle, yeah, Lyle, Link.
And then you had some dancers there too, which is great.
Yeah, man. Hey, we had a whole Sam Turner put that together. So matter of fact, I got the lyric And that the piece in the middle, the African piece, I got that from a relative of Becky Mseleku
Okay.
that I used to work with
Yeah.
and recorded with back in the day, and so we all sang it, and don't ask me what the translation was at this point,
Mhm.
so long ago. But it's just, man, it was just a beautiful time.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
For the sake of time, man, we're running short, but we have two more songs. I would love to play these songs like back to back, if you don't mind, and then we could jump into conversation real
Rock.
quick, man. So if we can just play Pleasurable and then jump right into Being Lifted, and then we can,
Beautiful.
I want to get your music out there, so let's check out Pleasurable.
Oh Thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sene Kwana.
I see leaves dancing, being lifted off the street. You don't believe me, you lift me off my feet. I see folks dancing, being lifted out their seat. You don't believe me, you knock me off my feet. La da la la, la da 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 de le de le de le le le. La da la la, la da da le de de. I seen spirit dancing, being lifted when they meet. You don't believe me, you lift me when you greet. I see souls dancing. You don't believe me, you knock me off my feet. La da la la, la da 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 la 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 dee dee. La da la la, la da 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 dee.
Beautiful music, really beautiful music, man. I enjoyed that live concert of Pleasurable, and
That was Christy DeShield, this past year's Grammy nominee for Best Artist, for
okay.
Best Jazz Artist on vocal, and that was 12 years ago. And
Wow.
so they're all my nieces and nephews, man. I love them all.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's what I'm saying, man. Paying it forward, it's you develop a great ensemble, but I know it's a lot of work that went into mentoring to get to that point, and it shows, man. And you're doing great things, bro, man. Continued success to you, man. And I'm so happy we were able to make this happen. You have no idea.
And let me thank Heidi Martin. That is a preview, world premiere, and that's not even quite finished being mixed yet.
Yeah.
So that is a record that I produced and co-wrote a number of the songs on.
Being Lifted?
Yes, I did on that one as well. Yes. And we just went in. So look out for Heidi Martin. And thank you, Dion. Thank you.
Before you leave, let our audience know how they can follow you. Social media, website.
Okay. Everything I'm about right now, and you'll see it on our website and all that, is my nonprofit. I don't have. I'm continuing to pay it forward through young artists. So if you want to find out what's going on, it's District DISTRIK, and collective is KOLLECTIVE. All right. So that's District Collective on Instagram. You can find that at .com website, the whole thing. And we've got an art exhibition. Oh, it's been a long day of teaching. And we got that coming up. That's going to hang in Washington, D.C. throughout the winter. There's going to be a CD, a collaborative CD, and a visual art. It's going to be this thing, man. And so it's I'll keep you up on that, D. I'll send you some video on that as it arrives. But thank you, audience, man, and thank you for everything that you're doing for the community. You always did it big, and I love you for that, man.
Love you too, bro. Thanks again for joining us on Sounds of the Diaspora, man. We're gonna continue to pay forward and support what you're doing, and continue success, bro. And we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you. Much love.
All right. That's a great Michael Bowie sharing his story with us and all of his passions, musical passions, and the folks he's mentored and folks he's worked with. He's doing great things. So please support him. Support his nonprofit, District Collective, and check him out, man. He's doing great things. Come back next week and join me as we bring to Sounds of Diaspora another amazing musician, master, someone I had the pleasure of working to for many, many years ago. A great flautist by the name of Sherry Winston. Come back and join and hear her story and hear her amazing music. It's been a pleasure presenting for you, and we do hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you come back next weekend. Tune in with us. Take care, guys. All the best.